Somebody says, person has some money in his hand, and he says, somebody sell me this for this, what do I have in my hand? And the seller didn't say how much money, didn't ask how much money is there. Kana. Once he gives whatever's in his hand, he's koine. Now, the yesh lo alav ona. Ona is either underpaying or overpaying by a sixth. If it's determined that the money that was in his hand is more than a sixth less than the value of the item, he has to pay the difference. And
he has to pay the difference, or the sale is canceled?
he has to pay the difference.
Oh, okay.
Now, it says kana, there's a kinyan, afagav shaloi moshach, even though the purchaser didn't pull the item to him. The kivan deloy kapit kana. The seller didn't really investigate what's really in his hand, so there was no kapeda, so the kinyan is okay. Why? The kichalipin domi. It becomes not really a purchase, it becomes like a barter, like an exchange. He didn't really care about how much money the guy had in his hand. And therefore, the reason why it's coined that the Gemara is arguing is because it's like more of a chalipin kinyan. But normally, there's no onah with chalipin. There's only onah when you purchase something with money. So why is there onah? So yesh olav onah, because the guy said, Machorli be'elu komer. He used the language of mechira, sale, which is a lashon mechira, which essentially means it's being bought for the standard price. That's the way Rabba on Rav Huna learned. But Rav Abba on Rav Huna learns that if he said Mechorli be'elu kana, the person said, okay, sell me this for the money that's in my hand, and the guy agrees, it is a kinyan. However, since it's not really a sale, ein lo alav ana. There's no reversal of the sale if it's not if it's greater than the sixth. It's a complete kinyan chalipin, and therefore it has nothing to do with the purchase price. Now, pshita that damim vein makbid aleim, when there's actually a sale for money, and he doesn't really care that it has to be exactly $100. If it's 99 and some, not exact. So that I understand. Hakamina dekani, the chalipin dami. It's no worse than chalipin. But what about makbid aleim? Chalipin u makbid aleim. They did a kind of deal like this, but he was makbid. My. Arvada barava, torshma. Harei shaya toifis paroso v'omed. He grabs somebody's cow and it's standing. Uba chaver v'amerlo paroscha lam. And the friend says, why is your cow standing here? And the guy who has the parah says, the chamor nitzar. I really need a donkey. And this guy says, yesh li chamor, shani noten l'cha. You know what? I'll give you chamor. So he asks, paroscha bekama. So he asked the owner of the parah, how much is your parah? Would you sell it for? And he says, bekach bekach. He gives him a price. And the owner of the parah says to the owner of the chamor, chamorcha bekama. And the owner of the chamor says, bekach v'kach. Mashach bala chamor sapara. If at that point, the owner of the chamor does mashich on the parah, lo hispik bala parah, limshach is a chamor, and then the other guy wants to do mashich on the chamor ad shemes a chamor, but the chamor dies before he gets a chance to do it, lo kana. The owner of the chamor doesn't get the kinyan on the parah. Even though l'chor it's a kinyan chalipin, and we've always learned by kinyan chalipin, if when one party does the mashicha, the other guy gets the kinyan. So comes out, shma mino chalipin u'makbar alim lo ikana. They didn't finish the thing, and the guy's not going to want to take possession of a dead chamor. And since they asked about how much are you going to sell it for and how much are you going to sell it for, they were makpid on the price. So then they both have to do mashicha. A mashicha on one side is not going to be enough. Amar Rava. I don't get it. Otu chalipi b'shuftin askinom de lo kabdi. What I don't get. Are we dealing with fools that are not interested in the value of what they're bartering, and they just want to exchange? I'm going to exchange something that's worth $1,000 with something worth $100. Elakol chalipin mikbid kapdi. When people do a kinyan chalipin, they care about the respective values. And if a guy accepts his tzad, kana, and the difference in price he'll pay later. The case that was brought was the amar lechamor b'para utle. I'll exchange you the chamor for a cow and a sheep. And then the balach chamor was moshach asapor, but I know moshach asatle. He did mashiach on the cow, but didn't get around to doing the mashiach on the sheep. The law of mashiach malya. There's a defect in the mashiach. Got to do mashiach on both for the chalipin to take effect. Amar mar. Mechorli be'elu. Guy says, sell me for what's in your hand. Kana. And yesh alav ona. And there is ona that attaches. Therefore, you have to make good the price if it's less than a sixth. Greater than a sixth difference. Is this saying that Ravuna holds that a coin can serve as a chalipin? Because we explained that the reason the way it works is chalipin, but how could it work? We hold that a coin cannot be a chalipin. So the Gemara says, "Lo, Ravuna serve like Rav Yochanan." A different reason why the transaction goes through when it's only money. Dvar Torah mos konos. Really, meikar adin, you can acquire something with money. Why do we say money alone is not good? Because of the problem of if the person doesn't take possession of the item, I'll give money. The owner of the wheat that's in his attic won't watch it well. It'll burn up, and they'll say it's not my problem. So the gzeira is that the kinyan is not good until I take possession of the wheat. But it's only milsa d'shchicha goes Rabbona. Rabbon only made that gzeira on something that's going to happen a lot of time. Milsa de lo shchicha goes Rabbona. This kind of chalipin deal, sell me something within your hand, is not common, and therefore it's not, the gzeira doesn't operate there. And it stays kedin Torah, which is mos konos. Ablo maruna bread Rav Nachman Ravashi. Ason, you hachi masnisula. This is the way you teach it. But anan hachi masnisula. We answered not like the maskana, but rather we say chena Ravuna ein matbeh nasa chalipin. We just say Ravuna holds chalipin doesn't work, and the most are konos because there's no other way kinyan, for that kinyan to work. Bameh koinin. How would you hold on to, when you're doing a barter, a kinyan chalipin? How do you hold on to the item? Rav Omar, koinin bekelev shel koina. the one who's buying the object, the one who's buying something, gives the seller an object. And once the seller takes hold of the object, then the kinyan is complete. The purchaser is happy that the seller will be makne from him, because he wants to make sure that the seller has in mind and sort of completes the thought in his head that he's going to sell it to him. Levi Omar, the opposite. The purchaser takes hold of the Caleb Shal Makne. Come on. Like we're going to explain later on. Armale Ravuna Midistra Larava. Ula Levi, the Amar B'Kalef Shal Makne, who says that when you do a kinyan chalipin, the buyer takes hold of something that belongs to the seller. Well, what about if we were talking about a piece of land that was involved in the chalipin? Ha kakani ara agav glima. If we're going to follow this rule, the buyer of the piece of land is going to do mashicha, let's say, on the shirt of the seller. And based on that, he'll get a kinyan on the karka. But then that's an example of havalei nechasim sheyesh lenachrayis, nechasim that are sold with a guarantee, which is only land, niknin nechasim sheyesh lenachrayis, are acquired when you do a kinyan on assets that don't have achrayis, which is metaltalin. But the problem is anon ibchatani, ibchatnan. We learned just the opposite. We said nechasim she'en lenachrayis, niknin nechasim sheyesh lenachrayis. We've always learned, let's say you have metaltalin like a shovel or a rake on a piece of land, and you acquire the piece of land with a star. You can acquire the metaltalin along with, that's an agav kinyan, but it's the opposite. You acquire the metaltalin with the karka, not that you acquire the karka with the metaltalin. Armalei Yavi Levi Acha, if Levi was here, have a mapik la'apcha pulsa denura. He would have taken out sort of strips of fire to give you malchus with it. It's not a good kasha. Me sarvis klima makdalei. Do you think that at this kinyan, that when I acquire that shirt, he's maknet? It's not so. It's be'ahi ana the kamakabi. The fact that he has ana that I accepted it from him, gomer v'akdile. He has kamar das. He's maknet the karka to me. It's not a kinyan agav. Now this machlokes Rav and Levi is ketanoi. Was an early machlokes tanoi. V'zois lifnim b'Yisrael, pasuk in Rus, when Boaz and Rus and the Ploni Almoini, there's a chalitza there. Ala ge'ula v'la t'mura l'kayem kol davar shalof ishnalo v'nasan l're'eyu. He took off his shoe and he gave it to his friend. Ge'ula zu mechira. Ge'ula is darshan, that's a sale. V'cheinu omer lo yimacher v'lo yigael. Tmura zu chalipin. Tmura refers to chalipin. V'cheinu omer lo yachalifena v'lo yamir oso. Ulakayim kol davar shalof ish olav nasan re'eyu. Me nasan lemi. Who gave who to what? Boaz, who was the purchaser of Rus, nasan lagoel. He's the one who gave to the Ploni Almoini, who was the makne. But Rav Yudah Omer Goel Nasan LeBoyaz. Ploni Almoni gave the shoe to Boyaz. So it's a machlokes tanoim like Levi and Rav, who is makne from who? We paskin Jay, I'm teaching. Jay, I'm teaching right now. Okay. So the purchaser gives the seller a kli, and the seller takes hold of it. That's how we pass. That's why we take hold of the pen. We're the a goy. The goy is the purchaser. Must be different by Mechiras Chametz. Tana. Koinin b'kliyav u'pishe'ena b'shava pruta. You could do Meshicha on a kli as part of Chalipin, even though that kli is not worth a pruta. On Rav Nachman, lo yishanu el b'kli, a standard kli that is, the minig is to do Chalipin with it. Abel b'peri, fruit, low. We had this before. Rav Nachman holds, you can't use fruit for Chalipin. Rav Shesam Rafilu b'perus. Now, my time in Rav Nachman. Because the source of Chalipin is the Chalitza by Boaz. It says Noalo is shoe. Noal in, it's a Kli. Midiachrini lo. So Rav Nachman holds from the Pasuk Noalo. My time Rav Sheish is Amr Kolakayim Kol Dova. Anything of value. So Rav Nachman Aksiv Lakayim Kol Dover. Lekayim Kol Dover Sheniknin Bimano. That means you can acquire anything with a shoe, but not that you can use anything as part of the kinyan. I Rav Sheshes Nami Haksiv Noalo. Rav Sheshes who says you can use fruit. What does he do with the pasuk that says shoe? Armelacha Rav Sheshes Ma Noalo Dover Mesuyim. A shoe is complete, and we know what it is. I've called Dover Mesuyim Lafuke Chatzi Rimon. Chatzi egos. You can't use half a pomegranate, half a walnut. The low. Amr Rav Sheshes Brei Ravidi. Kaman Kasfina Nayidna. According to which mandomer do we write in a star, which is documenting a kinyan? B'monu de kosher lamaknebe. We read this in the ksuba with a kli that's kosher to do a kinyan with. And we notice you use the word mana, which is a kli. Lafuke midvei Rav Sheshes are recording the Paris. And why do we say the kosher? Lafuke midash Shmuel. Sha'amar koinin b'meroika. He says you can be koine with pomegranate seeds. I'm going to ask everybody if you'll accept my indulgence, and that we'll just learn half a blot tonight, and tomorrow we will learn a blot and a half, because it's a small blot tomorrow. So I can
At what time tomorrow?
tomorrow we're gonna
Tuesday.
at 6 o'clock.
Oh, 6 o'clock,
Yeah,
okay.
because the Sorba will be at 8 o'clock,
Yeah, okay.
and the
And the
Daf Yomi will be at 6
okay.
o'clock.
It's a short blot.
Yeah, we'll just do a blot.
Okay,
and a
good night. Sleep well.
half. Okay, so we learned about Kenyan Chalipin, the sources for it.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.